Hello, 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 and my name's Pierre Dracula, and welcome to this week's Art and Illustration Recap, where I talk about the art I have made this week. So, first up, I'm going to show. I actually finished the painting a couple weeks ago, but I varnished it earlier this week, and it is now well, it is in the gallery at Cowichan Valley Arts Council here in Duncan, BC, and the show is being hung today. It's the annual Fine Arts Show. Opening is Saturday, so tonight, when this is first going up, in the past later, but it's open all throughout May. And why don't I just show the video? So we're going to zoom in momentarily on some of the details. It is acrylic on canvas, 24 inches by 30 inches. And it came out of a reference photo I took in Hope, BC. But as you can see there, it features my little guy, Ricky, stuck in a box of his own imagination. When it zooms in on some details, some things kind of emerge and disappear and whatnot. I'm going to be putting the full painting tour where I talk over it and explain things. That will be live on my channel probably by Monday, so coming up pretty soon. And you can see all the close-ups and whatnot. I'm just tilting it so you can see that I wrap the paint around the edge. Anyways, the theme, originally I just went with the picture. There's something to it that spoke to me with the clouds and the mountains and this, like, I don't even know why I took a photo of the gas sign, but anyways, we go through and in this video tour, and I'll talk more about it in that and theming and all that. But that's like a 8-minute long video, so I'm not going to insert the whole thing here, but that will be going live. I also need to write a blog about that, which my blog, by the way, is pyradraculea.substack.com, pyradraculea.substack.com. I haven't written one in a couple weeks, but I'm going to write one about the themes in this painting, and then I got to get back to doing like a weekly Sunday blog. But anyways, that's kind of the big news of the week. So in next week's show, I'll have some stuff to report about the opening, hopefully, and maybe some photos, that sort of stuff. But for now, let's move on to some other finishes. And first up would be some Noah's Archipelago. By the way, while I was doing the 2 weeks on the other stream, I talked about these OBS backgrounds. It always messes me up. Down there, over. Ah! I swear I'm not dyslexic. I just get backwards on camera. But anyways, I made these backdrops, so we're going to use them as go through the different projects of the week. So the first one, as I dig into here, Ursula has been on a field trip to the art gallery. Let me see if I can get this arranged. My lovely document camera that kind of shows up in front of my face. Anyways, so this is Ursula's teacher, Miss Vardamar. Ursula, you wanted to come to the art gallery. Yeah, because it was either that or a math quiz. And Miss Vardamar says, oh, you're still getting a math quiz today. This is, the underdrawing is a non-photo blue pencil, and then I'm using various markers. Some are just regular markers, and some are alcohol markers to fill in the color. I put pieces of paper in between just because, well, you can see on the back, they do bleed, and I've had stuff in other sketchbooks where like that would then stain this one and sometimes go all the way through the other page very lightly, but still. So I figure plain copy paper as sacrificial victims to the alcohol markers. This one's a little more substantial. This is the page that I used to test my colors. And then the Thursday cartoon, where Miss Vardamar is saying, anyway, you draw all the time. This is the perfect field trip for you. Ursula says, nuh-uh, I asked to go to the T-Rex Discovery Center. I told you that's over 1,000 kilometers away in Saskatchewan. So, now when I scan these, because they're in color, the non-photo blue pencil, let me try and get down there. That non-photo blue will show up, but kind of debating with these ones, the marker ones, all the digital ones. Let me move this out of the way to the extent that I can. If I shift everything over, that's a little bit better. When I was doing the digital ones, I'm compiling those into books. Like, I always used to call them anthologies. That's not correct. Comic treasuries. And I am like one illustration away. Just a bonus illustration. It's actually self-portrait, but it's taking forever to get that done. But that's what I have to finish. I'm going to try and do it today to finish all the internal for the first Noah Treasury book. And then I probably have enough of the digital cartoons to do like 3 more Noah Treasury books. But I'm kind of finding, and I don't know if it's just, I don't know, burnout or whatever, but I'm kind of sort of disgruntled with doing the individual comics. I mean, I've already cut down. It used to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday when I was doing it digitally. But I've talked before, the digital stuff was taking like 3 to 4 hours per comic, and that's fine when I didn't have anything else going on. Now that I'm working on graphic novels and whatnot, it's like, oh my God, I don't have the time. All right. So when did I do this? Excuse me. In March. So only a month ago. That was the one because I missed like 3 comics. I used to do these kind of like marker sketches. Some of these were when I was doing the Diary of Noah Thorson weekly blog sort of thing. But I used to do them if I ran out of time because they're a lot quicker. And they are, like, even that's a lot quicker than doing it digitally. These random ones. This one still makes me chuckle. She's trying to traffic me. Noah has found out that I'll be selling. I want to eventually sell merch with his image on it. Anyways, so I decided to move to doing 2 marker comics a week instead of 4 digital, right? And the idea would be also that would give me time to work on bigger Noah projects, which I am. But in terms of like the narrative comics, as opposed to say the coloring books we'll see a little bit later, part of me is just like, I kind of, because if I do it this way, I kind of do just single panels, but then I don't have any room for story arcs. I mean, I'm kind of doing that with the field trip stuff, but not so much. I think what I want to do, because I have ideas for bigger Noah projects and bigger stories, I think those, when I finish this particular not graphic novel, coloring book, by then I think I'm going to have written, like taken my notes and actually made a script for a Noah graphic novel. And then what I'll do is I'll do the 2 pages on stream, and then I'll post those on the Facebook page, kind of spread out. So it'll be like one on them, probably still Monday and Thursday, right? And then just be working towards a bigger book. If I feel like doing a one-off, that's cool, but it kind of feels like that's pulling focus. I don't know, like I do want to do, off the top of my head, one of the first stories I think I do would be the story of how Noah and Ruth got together, where he's explaining to Ursula about this, and Ursula's probably zoning out, as she does whenever adults start talking too much. And then I also have an idea about, some stories of Noah's background when he was in the 90s and sort of running around across America busking and, you know, had a band and these sort, like I can think of various stories that would each be probably about 100-page graphic novel, right? But then I don't have time to work on it because I'm doing these little ones, and kind of in a way makes me sad to think about that. But then I also kind of look at like, well, say Sarah Scribbles or whatnot, she doesn't do weekly comics anymore. She's doing bigger projects with those character and whatnot. Obviously, it's a little different because she has book deals and yada yada yada. But anyways, that's kind of where my thinking's going. That I think, well, it's fun to do the kind of marker comics and whatnot, and the full color is kind of where Noah comes from. I think pen and ink's kind of where my talent stack really comes up. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But even like marker stuff. Anyways, point is there's probably going to be some changes, and it may be down the road that I start feeling more inspired for these one-offs. I don't know. But it also may be that I just finish this book, and then at that point, we're moving on to black and white graphic novels for it. I don't know. We'll find out. So that's one thing. Now, another thing. Just gotta go and drop that on the floor. We did have another sort of finish today. Well, it is a finish, but it's a finish within a bigger project. So Zamo the Destroyer. As I've mentioned before, this is my original webcomic from 2006 to 2009. And then I stopped doing it because I ran out of time. Hey, first of all, let me switch up. My bad. I had Zamo stuff in the Noah screen. Anyways, where does this sound familiar? I ran out of time. Still love the character, but lost the inspiration for the original version. That happened in 2009. Then in 2013, because that was when I went and I started doing my music stuff with Maclu. So I actually wasn't doing really any visual arts other than like Maclu cover art and stuff like that, and graphic, which was more graphic design, for like 3 or 4 years, actually longer than that. I did start painting again in 2016 for a little bit, and then I dropped off and was doing more writing. Anyways, it keeps cycling back. But in 2013, I remembered that I wanted to do a reboot of this project. And I know I eventually rebooted it where it was a podcast, and I did this like Zamo voice, you know, really nasally and whatnot. And Zamo was explaining to friends and family back home in Colombia what was going on in, you know, stupid frozen Canada. Anyway, so I actually did like 200 and some odd episodes of that podcast. But I guess that started in 2014. I guess I had meant to reboot the comic in 2013. So I'd drawn 8 pages where Zamo's giving updates about what's going on in the neighborhood. And then I forgot about them. And then about a month and a half ago, I was looking through, I was thinking like, oh yeah, well, hey, I had all that Zamo stuff. I never did a Zamo book. I always intended to, I never did. And hey, it's now it's 20 years since I started Zamo, and it's like, well, anyways. So I went through all my old Zamo stuff, and I found these 8 pages. So that's what we've been inking on Wednesday nights for the last 4 weeks. Or four Wednesday streams. I think I was sick 1 week, so 5 weeks. Anyways, so the last 2 pages of these 8 pages were inked on this coming Wednesday. I'm going to hold this up. Make sure that is the autofocus. Should I do this? Yeah, that doesn't really make it any better. But you know what would? There is a little light underneath that document camera. Anyway, I don't know that it does anything. So we're just going to do like the manual Ken Burns, as I call it. The AI on my other channel thought that the manual Ken Burns was fantastic. And I mean, AI only lies all the time. There's been some studies coming out about that. Anyway, so in this one, Zamo's updating on Zamo's main pet human is Georgie, and then this is Georgie's brother, having gotten his divorce papers. And Georgie's brother lives in White Rock, and Zamo is not thrilled about that because it's so long convenient. Anyways, and then Zamo has a new enemy, Skunky. I guess if I had continued the comic, Skunky would have been a character, but I think Skunky, this is the only time we see anything about Skunky. And then the last page is Zamo in the secret basement lab. So as I was inking this, I was like, oh, I hope I don't get in trouble, because there's some things drawn in here that I know you can't actually say on a YouTube live stream because, the community guidelines, because, but like that's one of them, right? You can't talk about that stuff. But anyways, I didn't get any community strikes. So we have Zamo then in the secret basement lab. Let me bring this up taller so it's in front of my face. I am, by the way, in another week or so, I am getting a different laptop that's got more juice in it in terms of RAM. It's going to be a Windows machine. I hate Windows. I've done everything with Mac for basically the last 25 years. Yeah, close to 25. Certainly less. No, not 25. Pardon me. I'm bad at math. Anyways, since the mid-2000s, so about 20 years, I've been a Mac user, and pretty much exclusively. And Windows makes my brain hurt, but I can get a cheap, well, relative to laptops, I can get a Acer laptop that has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Like right now, can't tell exactly how much RAM this is sucking down, but when I was trying to have it with an external webcam, that's the word I'm looking for, webcam, that was at a better angle, it was like crashing out OBS on this MacBook and all this sort of stuff. So anyways, and that laptop will have like 4 USB ports, which is, I've got a mic if I've got 2 cameras, and then if I wanted like an external hard drive to pull that, like we're good then. Whereas when I was on this thing, if I got a Mac, never mind computer, laptop, or never mind laptop, just any Mac computer that would have the same juice, the cheapest option is a Mac Mini, and I have to buy an external monitor, so it's like double the price of the Windows machine. And to get like a laptop in Mac that has the same capability, it's like $2,700. I'm just like, I guess I'll be going with Windows. I hate Windows, but anyways, that's a problem for future Pura, but it'll make the streams better, I think. And yeah, anyways, so we have to do that. Back to Zamo, though. What we're going to do with Zamo here is next week's show, because this one, it ends up, I mean, there's kind of a bit of let me hit the autofocus button. There's a bit of a hint that there may be a problem. Don't know how often the lazy monkey will be drawing the comic this time around. Guess we'll find out soon enough. Well, the answer is I didn't draw the comic. So I decided completely, and then a year later I did it as a podcast. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I will be working on a Zamo treasury, which will have all the comics. Now, next week, I'm going to do just like a coda. It may only be 1 page, maybe it'll be 2, but it'll be, note from 2026. The lazy monkey, well, what I said, the lazy monkey didn't draw the comic, but Zamo continued having adventures as a podcast. Stay tuned for more, i.e. there's going to be books of the podcast scripts, and I'll do illustrations. I'm also going to go through and decide what bonus material I want to add in here. I think at the very least, I'm going to have to go flip through all the comics. I mean, I kind of know, but flip through the comics, make a list of all the characters, and then do an illustration of each one so that in the front we have, you know, a little illustration of Georgie's brother and like a little blurb about that. Now he wasn't in the comic very much, so we may have where it's a split page with two characters that just kept like a few sentences each, and then there would be like a full page, maybe even a spread about Georgie and some anyways, I've got some other bonus cartoony kind of ideas that I'll do for that book. After all, did I say at the beginning? This is my third take of this video, so I may not have said it in this take, but I am one illustration away from finishing the first Noah Treasury. I think I said that. Anyways, I got to actually draw it this afternoon. So in theory, the first Noah Treasury book comes out this summer. There's a bit of a back and forth with Amazon because I will get an author proof copy that takes 3 to 4 weeks to arrive in the mail, and then I have to make sure, like, okay, is this all good, or are the changes or corrections I need to make? But if it's all good, then it can be uploaded, then it can be set to go live right away, or I'd probably give it like a week's buffer or whatever. If there's problems, then I have to upload fixes, wait another 3 to 4 weeks. This actually happened to a friend of mine, his first novel. I think it's called Night Runners of the Salish Sea. His name is John Appleby. But his book, he had it finished in, I think, January, and then it was like final edits and getting the layout and all this, and he thought it was going to be published in the June of that year, but there kept being problems with, because there'll be Amazon print on demand. That's what John did. That's what I'm doing. Is he would get an author copy back or a proof copy back, and there'd be something screwed up. They try and fix it, then they'd have to wait, and he wasn't able to publish the book until September. And he started the process in April, thinking, oh yeah, 2 months is plenty of time. Yeah. So anyways, I'm kind of assuming that, you know, even once I get the the final Noah illustration done, then I've got to, there's a bunch of scanning, not that much, because there's only like 8, like pen and paper type illustrations for that book. And then it's all got to get loaded in. I have the InDesign set up, right? So I got to slot it all into that, and then I got to do the cover. So that's probably going to take me all of May. Realistically, it shouldn't. It should take like 3 days, but realistically, it's going to take all of May. So then I upload it, so then I wait, so then I'd have the first proof copy by July. Realistically, the first Noah Treasury is going to be for sale in the fall, and I don't want to have like 2 books right away. Not if they're both comic treasuries, you know what I mean? So I'll probably aim to have the first Zamo book. I do want it out sometime in 2026. So even if it's like out in December 2026, at least that it can be like 20th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, we're going to be working on some of that stuff on the Wednesday streams going forward. So another finish, yay! So let's move on now to which. Well, there is one other thing I'm going to say. Well, obviously we've got here and here another of the OBS backgrounds. I showed these on last week's recap video, which was on my secondary channel, which is Pure Dracula art vlogs or artist vlogs or whatever. And if I start doing actual vlogs again, then I would dump them onto that channel, I think. But anyways, I did make 2 other OBS things fresh this week, like actually yesterday, but they're for the end of the stream. So we'll just tease it there. They are like a thanks for watching, and then see you again real soon. That's got a empty space in the middle for putting in, you know, the recommended video. So, moving on to whips, works in progress, and our main most man Myles. Now, this one actually doesn't quite all fit in the same. That's funny. They're the same size piece of paper. Maybe if I bump this up a little bit on a sketchbook, does that make it better? Yeah, now we kind of, no, close enough. Anyways, I'll do the manual thing. This week's spread for Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness, that book is S is for scuba diving, but there's so much detail, I only got the one half done, so this coming Monday we'll finish the second half, but let's come close up here. Let's do that. And we will just do like a manual Ken Burns, that's what I call him. So he is down there, there's lots of fishies. That's like seagrass or kelp or seaweed, whatever. More fishies, Myles with his scuba and snorkel and his tail hanging up, and something's going to bite his tail because, well, I mean, fish go for worms, and what most tails look like worms, so I don't know. He should probably, you would think that the mice people, the mouse men and the rat men and all that, you would think if they were going to go scuba diving, they would have figured out to put a neoprene sleeve over the tail, but I don't know. For whatever reason, Myles chose not to do that. And then there is a shipwreck, but it's really just a small little boat. It's gonna, on the next page, how you're gonna see the outboard motor of it. So he is diving on a shipwreck, just not really an impressive one. And then we got anemones, we got his fins. Way down here, we got a little octopus hanging out. So that was 2 hours. Actually, I think it might have been slightly more than 2 hours. But yeah, so we only had the one page done for Myles this week. And what's going to happen with this project, once I go through and do all the spreads alphabetically, then I'm going to write short stories. I told the story before, and there is the, when I only showed the first 11 spreads, so it was about not quite half as far, well, more than half as far along as I am now, but I kind of get into detail in that video about the background of the project. But I decide each week kind of on the fly what Myles is going to be doing, and I use like a dictionary reference. I pull out words that I was like, oh, that would work, that would be interesting, and then combine it. So I do have some words picked out for tea, but not all of them. I'm not going to start the tea one this coming Monday. What I'm going to do is, there was a kind of a side thing that started with a joke with somebody in chat where we were talking about Myles and Ricky getting into a bar fight, because they are in the same universe. Usually the current projects I'm working on, they're separate. There's Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness, and then there's Ricky B Goes to Sea. Both of those books were written or conceived of before I decided that they belong to the same world. But what it is that Myles here is Ricky's girlfriend's half mouse cousin. So he's half rat, half mouse. Anyways, we were talking about them getting into, them arguing and whatnot, and then based on the chat, we were kind of joking about them getting into a bar fight, and you know, Myles is smaller, but he's also more aggressive. Anyways, so I have done one page that I've inked of that, but I think I'll draw another segment, and who knows, that little segment of Ricky versus Myles might end up being a short story in the book as well, or we'll use it at some point somewhere. And So what they're fighting over is, you know, our character Batman. Well, Myles shows up at the bar wearing a Bat Mouse costume, and Ricky keeps calling it Bat Rat and insisting that the character is called Bat Rat, and that's what starts the fight. So we may have another installment in that silly little bar fight. I'll try and have it. I will definitely have it drawn, so that if the second page only takes an hour, which I don't know, because Myles didn't take much time. It was all the fish and whatnot. So it may be that the second page of this is also a 2-hour drawing, in which case I'll just, you know, I'll have that in reserve for down the road. But if I finish the second page of this spread early, then I'll carry on to working on Bat Rat. So now for Tuesday, we are back with Noah. So let's get right to it. And for these markers, that sometimes the spotlight helps and sometimes it just makes things shiny and then you can't see a damn thing. So the project on Tuesdays is the 2027 calendar that I want to do for Noah's Archipelago. So we got 2 pages done, and I will again bring this up and, well, bring this down. Get that wire over so we don't have a shadow. And we'll do kind of the manual scroll. So this is obviously going to be for February, Valentine's month. Maybe I do need a light here. Yeah, I don't know if that helps or hurts or whatever. But anyways, when I have the laptop, the other laptop, I may kind of set up a permanent station for OBS and whatnot. But then I can have things kind of laid out better. Anyways, hey Ruth, want to make another baby? Huh? So we have horny Noah in the mood for love. And this is mostly alcohol marker, although we do have some regular markers in his hair and whatnot. A little bit in the background. So this is the kind of multi-layered, overlapping overlay where colors kind of change and whatnot background that I was doing digitally. And I've just started doing it with the marker stuff. I do really like the way this stuff looks. It does, of course, have to be at a pretty big scale. So if I was doing a graphic novel, like to do it with frames that size, I just couldn't because they're not fine tip enough. And they kind of want to whoosh, mushroom out a bit. But for stuff like calendars, I might do some Noah greeting cards, merch, and all that. It's a fantastic medium. So, anyways, come on, baby. Noah is in the mood. That's for February. We also did April, which is kind of related to the April headline image, header image, banner image on the Noah Facebook page where Noah is singing in the rain and Ursula is not thrilled about it. So let's come down and scroll. I guess that's a little bit too far down. Anyways, there we go. That kind of washes out the, you know, if I bring it up here. Now it's in my way. Let's just move that out of the way and ignore it. So we got the gray sky, we got the umbrella. We've got the cherry blossom tree that's starting to leaf out. So the cherries are, probably have a whole bunch of pink snow down here, but I didn't draw that. The lilac tree starting to go. Come even closer. Anyways, what would my shows be without technical issues? Anyways, so there's Noah. He's all soaked. His hair is not fluffy. His shirt is stuck to him. And there's Ursula, who's actually dressed for the rain. And she is not happy. She would rather be inside watching cartoons than standing outside in the rain. So there's that. We are now, let's see here. Well, I'll bring Horny Noah back for visual interest. We are now, let's see here. January's done, February's done. March, I did do March, but I got to redo it because I kind of messed up Noah's face. So January, February, April, May is done. July is half done. Like, I'm happy with the foreground. I don't like the background. I'm going to redo the background. So we'll say 3.5. No. Can I do math? January, February, March, or January, February, April, May. So 4.5. So we are a third done for sure. Closing out on about, I guess, 40%. So assuming that I can continue doing 2 per week, which, I mean, the May one had a lot of detail. That was a single, only one that week. But that would mean that this week we should be able to get June and August done, and then September, October, November, December, and then with the 2 redos, I think we're done the artwork, other than the cover art. But I think I don't know if I'll do cover art on stream. I might do that off stream, so at least one thing is a surprise. But that means this calendar is going to be done, certainly, let's say, by June, which is actually ahead of schedule. And then there's the Ricky B. Rat calendar, because I don't want to leave Ricky and Myles out. So assuming those work at the same pace, I can have those done sometime in August. I'll probably do some Ricky stuff on my Sunday streams, because that's another thing that we're starting. But I should have those calendars done, let's say, by mid-July, which is plenty of time to figure out the file, upload it, have it printed. I'm going to use Club Card in Vancouver as my plan, and have them shipped to me so that I can set up an Etsy shop and have them out and available. So, yay, we're making progress. Now, speaking of progress, our last stream that's going to be covered in this, I'm filming this on Friday morning because this is the only time this week I have to do this. So the Ricky stuff I'm going to ink tonight on tonight's stream, that's going to be for next week's stream. So it's a very Noah heavy show this week. A lot of Noah going on. And on Thursdays, what are we working on? We were working on the Noah coloring book, which theme is the many jobs of Noah Thorson. So we'll show them all kind of in a zoomed out view, and then we'll do the fast. We actually got 3 of these done today, which shocked me. I expected this one to take an hour and a half. I was like, I don't know, I might only get 1 done this time. But no, we got 3 done. We were flying, man, which is awesome. Anyways, so this is Y is for Yoga Studio Receptionist. Now, I think I've said on these shows before, with these, because each letter of the alphabet generally has 2. Q and I think X only have 1 job, and M and P I think have 3. So anyways, it works out to about 52 jobs, right? 50-ish jobs. And then I've got some pages for the beginning, which intros the story, and yeah. So I mean, obviously, if I did 2 per show, that's 26, and in 6, I would finish the project on stream in 6 months. But what was I saying about a Noah graphic novel? I'm going to lean out of the way so that this kind of looks like a microphone, but it's not. It might have a built-in microphone. Maybe, I don't know. But I would like to move on the Thursday streams to working on that graphic novel once I get it sorted out. So I think what I'm going to do is probably for each letter only do one of the jobs on stream and then try and do them off stream. Now, if that's not working, I'm not finding time off stream to ink it, then we're just going to plow through and, you know, it is what it is. And then these coloring pages would kind of become the cartoons that I post on social media for Noah. But anyways, we'll see how it goes. It would be nice to have this project done this year, but I have a feeling it's going to be like an early 2027 release. And I do plan to do more Noah coloring books as well as well, the Ricky ones might be coloring books. They might be mazes. I mean, he's a rat. You put rats in mazes, right? So he would prefer coloring, I suspect. Anyways, so yoga studio receptionist. This one, I made some boo-boos. We will fix that stuff in Photoshop. I'm not happy with the sand texture. I was trying to get, you know, how you have the, if I do it up here, you can see what I'm talking about. You know how when you walk in sand, you get the divots. Parts of this look proper, some of it doesn't. I don't know. So some of this is going to get fixed in Photoshop. But Noah as a photographer for dolphin feeding encounters at a resort. So this lady's giving a fish to a dolphin and Noah's taking a photo. Although, well, I guess it depends. The camera appears to be aimed not at the dolphin, but we'll just ignore that technical detail. And then because this got finished and I had like 45 minutes left, I quickly grabbed a blank that I hadn't done a blue underdrawing on, sketched in the blue underdrawing for this one, Noah as a mime, you know, stuck in a glass box, mime busker. So we did the underdrawing on stream and then we did all the inking. I think it ended up being about 15 minutes longer than the usual 2-hour stream, but we got 3 done. So now we're going to bring the camera down. And we're going to zoom in. All sorts of stuff in the way today. And we're going to do that. So it's kind of a bit of an overcast day too, so we don't have as much ambient light. Let's see the details. And I guess the other reason why it would be good to kind of just only stream one of these per letter, you know, so only stream like half of the jobs, is because then, you know, obviously if people see it on stream, like now they've seen it, obviously they can't color the video. And it would be kind of a pain in the ass to, you know, do a screen capture and print it. I'm sure if somebody's dedicated enough, they could try and do that, but it's going to print fuzzy and all that. So yeah, if they want to color it. But also, I think there's something to be said for keeping some stuff under wraps. Like even for the graphic novels, like the last third of those books will not be inked on screen, you know. So anyways, there's Noah doing like a squat, plie squat sort of yoga pose on top of the receptionist desk while talking on the phone. But anyways, like only doing half of them on stream means that half the book then is a surprise that, you know, and I think there's some value to leaving a surprise. So anyways, there's Noah as the mime. And I had started to do this drawing in a different book a year or 2 ago, and now I can't find it. I mean, it's a different paper. I would have had to like use a light box to trace it and all that. But anyways, I was doing it from memory. I think it turned out pretty well. Of course, Noah's doing his kissy face. And I was envisioning him as having his eyes squeezed shut, but then I realized as I was doing these lines, it kind of looks like he's got his eyes rolled back in his head, which that works too. However you want to color it, right? So now we have done all our finishes for the week and now all our works in progress, but we are not done yet. No, because we have doodles. Now, I will say for these, I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to go straight to the document camera only. And I'll do it this way. This is the book I was doing daily doodles in. You know, we've seen these before. Now, I will admit, that's the only one I got done in this book this week. Let me zoom in so we can see it. 30 years worth of food, baby. It was before heading to church on Sunday, because usually I go on Saturday night, on the Saturday night vigil mass, but last week I didn't. So anyways, me and my messy hair. I actually didn't wear a pillbox hat or anything, but that's kind of the dress I was wearing, and then like a little cardigan over top. So that's the only one. I got to get back into doing these every morning. They're fun. It's kind of like a morning pages for visual. But anyways, that's the only one that got done in that book. However, I have other. It's the problem with a landscape. It's taller and it bumps into things more, I find. So stick that underneath the laptop. So on Sunday, I had my first ever Sunday stream this week. And what I had done actually the night before was just do some, I'll show you the one that I haven't drawn in yet. Just take some like acrylic inks and smear them around just to have like a non-white blank page. Like it's blank, but it's not really blank, you know what I mean? So these ones I haven't drawn on. And it's kind of similar to 3 or 4, must have been 2 or 3 years ago. I was doing some jelly plate printing. I'd taken a couple classes, and now that was with acrylic paint. But I had all these like test prints, and they were on watercolor paper, very similar. And then I was just like taking my pens and like cartooning on top of that. And that was kind of a fun thing. I actually had some bigger piece of paper that I did that on, and then I like cut them into business cards. And then I have a stamp on the back that has like my URL and professional email and all that. So I thought, well, that would be a fun thing to do in these sketchbooks. I have a ton of these like watercolor and mixed media sketchbooks. I got a bunch, and like for my like proper dry sketchbooks, I like the hardbound ones, like the last book. I'm not as much of a fan of the spiral bound because, you know, the wires get caught on things, they get pulled out, and it becomes a mess. But I have a ton of these from when I was doing more printmaking, because I would just, you know, I mean, this is watercolor paper, but with the mixed media, it's a little thicker, and I would just tear it off at the perforations and then use that as my printmaking paper. It's cheaper and all that. I'm just gonna, the thing I've been wearing on my head, it's like, it looks fun for the camera, but this starts to, after a while, just like really dig into the back behind the ears. So anyways, this is like a $15 Amazon purchase. Kind of fun to wear, but not for extended wear. So when the camera comes back on me and I don't have that on my head, that's what happened. It's like, why is it? It's like crushing. It's like the old Kids in the Hall. I am crushing your head. I am crushing your head. Well, it's felt like it's doing that. Anyways, I was talking about this. So I was actually, who was I watching? I don't remember the guy's face, but I think his channel is The Inspired Life, Jason in New York. And he does a lot of like architectural stuff and super bright color and all that. So when I can catch a stream, I try to. But I was thinking, I could adapt that kind of bright color thing for my cartoons. So I prepped a bunch of these, and then I will later draw into them. So those are 3 that I haven't used yet. And the reason why I've got like a bunch of these watercolor books in my hoard. And I would just kind of have them on rotation. So do this one, and then when it was wet, grab the next book, do it, and kind of rotate. And, you know, the acrylic ink dries fairly fast if you're not like really goobering it on there. So anyways, I have a couple that I did do some cartooning in on my first ever Sunday stream last week. So we got Ricky with the orange and the swirling. I was like, this kind of looks like could be holes in cheese. So Ricky is one with the cheese. He's confused. And there are some like alcohol marker in the coloring on his tail and his flesh color, but mostly it's just, you know, the usual pens I use. These guys, the Staedtler pigment liners, and whatnot. Well, I mean, that's alcohol marker on top of the acrylic ink. So kind of a fun, like, warm-up thing to do. And then there was this one, and I had the ink really on thick, and then I'd, like, hold it up and, like, blow on it. Excuse me. And Noah's looking at the pretty mountains. You probably don't want to be that close, although I guess it's off in the distance. But if it's blowing that kind of chunk out, it's probably got toxic gases coming out. You do not want to be there. And Ursula's bored. And that's it for that book. And I've got one more. Last Sunday's stream, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to do some cartooning on this. This is like the baby Valerie imagining herself as queen. And Noah's got obviously food that she doesn't approve of, so she's dreaming of calling for her guards. And and then we've just got a couple other blank ones that I haven't done yet. So speaking of the Sunday stream, what I ended up doing the Monday Noah's Archipelago. Let's bring back Ricky, confused Ricky. I have something to look at while I talk. So I ended up doing the Noah cartoon for the Monday because I hadn't done it yet on stream. But I think I'm just gonna have like Sunday be like a random catch up type of thing. I'll probably work on one of these first thing as just like a warm up, and then if I haven't done Noah's Archipelago for Monday, I'll draw that on stream. If I have done it, then this is a case where I'll probably start working on like the Ricky B. Rat calendar on that stream, or at some point when I'm ready to start working on a Noah graphic novel, then I might be doing Noah coloring pages on the Sunday, but it's going to be kind of like a loosey-goosey, it's not going to be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday, Friday all have their own schedule. Although Tuesday is a little bit like a catch-up, but it's also for finished art, whereas the Sunday might have like sketchbooking and random stuff as well. So anyways, there's my doodles for the week. And haul. I haven't had haul in a while. I don't have much haul today, but I have 3 items I had to pick up. So with the painting going into the gallery, I realized I was out of like the coated wire for the hanging, which is kind of what I've heard the gallery kind of prefers, because this doesn't leave a mark. I mean, when you tie it across the back, you like still tape the ends so that you don't get this sharp thing, gouging. That's probably more a warning for people who use regular wire, but anyways, I just realized I totally did the wrong kind of knot, but they even have an illustration of the right kind of knot here, but whatever, it'll hold. So not very sexy, but I got a spool of this. 50 feet. It was at Michael's. It's like $22 Canadian, but I had the 30% off coupon, so it's like $15. I'm pretty sure on Amazon I can get 100 feet for that price, but then of course it was one of those things where I thought I had one of these already, and then I went to look and I had little pieces that were 6-inch cutoffs. I don't even know why I kept the 6-inch cutoffs, but I did not have this, so I had to get it like immediately. But I will probably, obviously I'm not painting it that much, and the next time I have to put wires on the back of painting is going to be in the summer. So it might take me a while to use this up, but then I will eventually order some on Amazon instead. And then let's see here. If you're in Canada, and you do like pen drawing, do not sleep on staples, okay? Like, I know staples generally they're overpriced and whatnot because they're going for corporate people who have expense accounts, but they have the little art supply section, but there's so little that I think they honestly kind of have it as an afterthought. This set of these 4 Staedtler pens was like $13 Canadian. If you go to Michael's, the Staedtler pigment pens are like $6 each, unless they're on like a sale. So yeah, like you didn't get a lot of choice. I think they do have the packs that have like that are like these ones, the pigment liners that have multiple sets. I didn't bother getting any, but I think they're like 6-pack or whatever is also cheaper than at Michael's, and definitely cheaper than, you know, any of the art supply stores. So I'm just saying, if you're in Canada and you want these kind of pens, go have a look at Staples. They will gouge you on many things, but sometimes like this, it's like half the price, so worth doing. And then when I was at Michael's getting the wire, I had to look in the pencil crayon section because my main pencil crayon box is the Faber-Castell Black Edition, but I was finding most of them are like, it'll show on the top that there's supposed to be some dark colors, but I found most of them are really light actually, and not a lot of choice in the browns. So anyways, I noticed they had this, it's only 12, but it's kind of foresty colors, so that works. And I guess they're discontinuing or whatever, so it was on clearance for like $10. So I was like, okay, we're grabbing that. And that is my haul for today. Not a lot, but I also already have a whole lot of stuff, so unless it's really cheap or I'm like specifically out of something, I'm trying to not buy more art supplies. And then I've got my notes say, what have I been watching this week? Where's my inspiration come from this week? You know what? We've been talking for an hour, so we'll skip that. Kind of the same stuff I tend to often watch. Although I have been reading Scott Adams's Reframe Your Brain. Trying to read that first thing in the morning instead of checking my phone for like the first 5 minutes. So anyways, biggest challenges this week. And why don't we can switch back to, there we go. And I'll just bring that down for now. I'm kind of excited about, kind of bummed about coming up. It's not, well, it's related to art because it's related to productivity. So I have had a terrible time with planners and whatnot. And this is where we're going to come back to, let's borrow, we have not used Ricky today. So we'll use Ricky's setup. So what I was doing for productivity, these are huge, so they don't really show, but this is just a moleskin, you know, but a dotted journal. So, this one's upside down. I'll show you the previous one. So I was drawing on the dotted thing, and then I was doing, this is like habit tracking, big things coming up this that I had to do this week, like, you know, oh hey, it's not filled in. There's a painting class I want to take in the fall, or in August. I actually still haven't registered for that, but this, I do set it up, and it'd take me like 45 minutes. Actually, I don't think this took 45 minutes. Maybe it did. God, I don't know. I had a list of my major goals, and then for each goal, kind of what I wanted to achieve on it this week. Some things would just keep going week after week because I didn't get it done. That's still the case. Anyways, so I was doing that, but then I didn't have like a daily schedule thing, and so flipping back and forth for my brain was kind of like, okay, so I have the list of goals, but not like a when do I do this type of thing. So I wanted to get a planner that had a schedule, but also a to-do list. And then I was hearing about the productivity planners, and this is one that I didn't use. Anyways, and then I was looking at the cost of those, and it's like, oh, it's like a $70 book, but it only covers 3 months. Oh my God. So I decided I was going to make my own. So I ordered this honkin' big, you know, like 8.5 by 11, or A4, I guess is the British size, and it's spiral bound. Now, this one's pretty solid spiral bound, but I know I was complaining about that with sketchbooks earlier. Anyways, so it's double spiral bound, and it's all dotted. So I've been using this in April, and I was drawing it out, right? Now, this is for last Sunday. So I have the date, I have my water, my daily focus, energy, 3 must-dos. The varnishing didn't happen until Monday. And then 5 other to-dos, 4 self-care, 4, it says to do. It's supposed to say to improve. 4 things I could improve, because I looked on Amazon and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And I was like writing all these things down. 3 gratitude, mood, rate today. But I also have like a little strip for time on the side, right? And then on this side, I have like a today's highlight, what I learned today, brain dump area, some notes, and then an area to do my evening recap of what I actually did. That one was really, I picked this because I didn't really use the page this week. I've also drawn in, come forward, just last night I was kind of figuring out like, oh, like a habit tracker. This is like bullet journal standard stuff, right? Monthly goals, finish the NOAA Treasury book, buy ISBNs. That's something I got to do, but I think when you buy them, it's like a U.S., I guess it's associate. I don't know if it's a U.S. company or U.S. government associated with the Library of Congress. I'm not sure, but like you can buy ISBNs in like blocks of 10, and it's cheaper that way. It ends up being like $300 versus, you know, they can be 50 each. So, but then you've got your ISBN number, but they ask you your company name, right? You can get an ISBN for free through Amazon, but then it will always say the publisher is Amazon. And if you're self-publishing, you know, I'm going to get them for myself, right? I know if I get a block of 10, I will use those up and they don't expire. So, but I wanted to have my business name and all that stuff. So this is like a for later, after that's all approved. Daily walks. I'm better at it in April, but not a lot. The business registration that I have to do after the business name. Fix websites, because like I've been neglecting some of my websites. Make a website for my business that then redirects to my different projects. It'd be kind of like a pick your path or pick your poison. Clutter clearing in the house. Finish the NOAA calendar, because I think that's doable this month. Scan all the Zamo comics. There's 137. So that's like starting to work on the Zamo book. This is an ebook that I want to get ready, which is like writing tips and set up Patreon, right? And then I drew in May, and you can see it doesn't say where I'm going for my exam. I have that. I've got flower duty at my church. I got, you know, anyway, so I've been drawing these, but I just realized it's like to do like a blank one, like, oh, hey, the one for Saturday, I haven't actually finished drawing. Like, it doesn't take that long, but it's just something that has to be done. So, and then if I don't work far enough ahead, then I don't have it done, so I can't write in appointments. Anyways, the point is, I like the idea of this system. It ain't working. So I've ordered another frickin' planner off of Amazon. It'll be here soon. It'll be here on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. And then, I mean, obviously, you have some views into it, but not what the whole thing actually is. I have a feeling that the weekly at a glance is making a comeback. And then and I got a planner that's this size, because so many of them are so tiny, and then it's awkward to write in them. You know, if you get too close on the left page next to the spiral binding or whatnot, like you can't really write in there. I mean, if you're left-handed, obviously it's different. If you're left-handed, it's the opposite, and then this one's the awkward one, right? But the little ones drive me crazy. I've had them before. They don't work for me. They've got to be big. So anyways, and I've had other planners where there was like a week on a 2-page spread, but then again, the thing of what time do I show up to the thing it confuses my brain. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll try and not blather about it on next week's show, but we may be blathering about, oh my God, my planner, it actually works. Ask me about it in July if it's still working, because, you know, that's frequently not how it goes. But anyways, let me get off of that thing. Mac webcam only. Anyways, so we are at the end finally. There's probably a chunk that I'll cut out in editing. I keep saying I'm going to record these in OBS so I don't have to edit, and then I have things I edit out. At some point, I'll probably just do these as a live stream. If I have like a set time that I know will work when I'm not going to be interrupted on a Saturday is a problem. Anyways, so we are going to be moving towards the end here. Let me just throw that in. little Myles and Ricky asking to subscribe if you've enjoyed the show. I'm guessing, actually, I think on the stats, the people who watch these videos are already subscribed. So thank you for subscribing, and give it a like and all that sort of stuff. And now the 2 promised finishes for OBS. This is one of the finishes. Thank you. Thanks for watching. And these are all just drawings I've taken from old Noah comics. And then we're going to go to the show outro, which I don't think I have my microphone set up to talk over top of. So I will just say, like it says on the screen, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye for now. And what I'm going to refer you to for the outro is, I think I'm going to drop you into the live drawing with Pura playlist. So if you want to catch up on the progress of any of what I've shown tonight or this morning, whatever, it'll probably be somewhere on that playlist. So again, see you real soon. Bye for now.